Welcome everybody to Digital Nomad Sessions. My name is Moazzez, your host, and today I have with me Navid Moazzez. Navid, thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me. I know you're in your van. I'm in kind of my new place here in Panama. So yeah, we're living the digital nomad dream or lifestyle, if you will. So this will be really fun.
Absolutely, and you are a long-time digital nomad. I remember you after your very first summit, when you did quite well in it was the branding summit, right? We caught up in Thailand, and that's sort of like the very start of both of our journeys back then. Or
Yeah.
you were sort of in the game for about a year before that. So, and that was what, 5 years ago now, I think.
Yeah, it's crazy, honestly. I remember that because that was right after my first summit that took off with the branding summit, got, lots of email subscribers, lots of revenue coming in from that. So it enabled me to quit my job and move abroad. And that's kind of when I started that nomad journey and digital nomad living. That was more like living out a suitcase more than I do now. I still have the flexibility to do it, but I kind of value also having a base and then taking kind of mini vacations or mini trips around the world. That's kind of how I do it now. It's a little bit easier with setups, but I know you're a big inspiration when it comes to having a completely nomad lifestyle, living out of your van. So that's like taking it to a whole nother level. I've never done that. Although when I started kind of in Cabo and Cancun in the early days, I had the worst internet ever. So it was really difficult. I think I had 0.5 uploads, like megabit per second upload speed. It was really difficult to upload, but that's how I created Virtual Summit Mastery. That's how I did summit videos and case studies and stuff like this. So, I mean, I made it work. I think now it would be a lot harder to deal with such slow speeds, but it's gotten a little bit forward even in third world countries. So. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally, man. So for everybody at home who doesn't know Navid yet, let me introduce him. He's a lifestyle entrepreneur and creator of Virtual Summit Mastery. According to Huffington Post, entrepreneur.com, and many online influencers, he's seen as the world's leading expert when it comes to hosting wildly successful virtual summits. Navid and his students have generated hundreds of thousands of email subscribers and millions of dollars in revenue from their virtual summits in just the past 12 months alone. And today we're going to be diving into how you can actually do that as a digital nomad. Today's topic is how to grow your audience quickly, profitably, and build your authority at the same time. So I guess, Navid, let's continue the conversation where it started. Talking about becoming a digital nomad and building these online businesses quickly and profitably. What sort of led you down this direction in towards summits and just list building in general? And how's that affected your life and business since?
Yeah, I mean, for me, when I started, it was kind of the podcast boom. So everyone was talking about doing podcasting, and I got my start doing interviews. One thing I wish I would have continued, because I saw that did really well, was because I started publishing videos on YouTube, and I did that for some time. It didn't grow my email list that much, but I see now a lot of people have done well there. But I think with what we are gonna get into, you can actually combine a lot of like doing summits, publishing on social media. You can repurpose a lot of this content, but I didn't know as much back then. So I just did my podcast. I didn't grow my list. I didn't generate that much revenue. But then I found these health summits, and they were really successful, growing their email list. They were interviewing these experts, and they were generating hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in revenue. I was like, I'm already doing these interviews, but how can I actually monetize kind of a skill I've acquired? And so that's kind of when I come up with the idea to do the branding summit. That was in 2014. And then, I kind of re-engineered what other people were doing, trying to, make it work for me. And then I had about, I think it was like 900 email subscribers on my list after 18 months of blogging and podcasting. Did a summit, got 3,000 email subscribers and $20,000 in profit. Then it's not really about that. It's actually what happens afterwards that is exciting. What you can do with that email list. Like I did affiliate marketing. That's it's been a big revenue generator for years for me. That right after my summit, actually, I made $40,000 in sales from promoting a program and winning the affiliate contest for that. So you can do a lot of different things once you build your audience. And I think that's what a summit can do for you, even if you're not an expert, even if you don't know any influencers and stuff like that. I'm from Sweden originally. I didn't know anyone. I started in kind of my apartment back in Stockholm. I had no connections with Pat Flynn, John Lee Dumas, and all the people I've interviewed over the years. So I just kind of started reaching out to them, and that's kind of what my students. You're a great example of that, Mitch. In different industries like the health space, you sold your business, now you're doing this thing here, which is amazing. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally, man. Yeah, I mean that's super inspiring, and since that journey, Navid, now you've created what I can actually definitely attest to this, the best online course program that's out there. You know, I've definitely got a lot of results from that. And how many students in Virtual Summit Mastery now?
Like between 600 and 700, I would say, like over the years, like for
Yeah,
that program. We have some other things we've done, like with summits where we have like thousands of people coming through. But for the summit program, which is very niche, there we have around like 600, 700, you know, and, you know, 100, we actually have well over 100 the people I know, like obviously not everyone shares their success and stuff like that, but well over 100 people, 150 people who have actually had great success going through it, which that's kind of makes me the most proud. Initially, it's like when you want to build this lifestyle, it's kind of you're thinking about yourself, kind of what you want to accomplish, you want to quit your job and all this, but then it becomes about also helping other people. I think that's kind of where you kind of bridge this gap between, okay, I'm just a nomad living this life and thinking about only myself and my dream, but you're also helping other people, which I think is very cool, and you have a more impact in the world as well.
yeah, absolutely. And you know, the more people you help, the more fruitful it is for you as well. So yeah, that program has been amazing for me and for so many people that I've met in that journey as well. And then obviously for you as well, you've been able to live in some amazing places around the world. You know, came and stayed with you in an amazing apartment in London for a few days. So
Yeah.
Navid is definitely a high class digital nomad. That's for sure.
Yeah, you came. Yeah, that was cool actually. Yeah, that was a nice one. We have met up actually. I think we have met, like Thailand was initially, and then you came to
Yeah.
London, and I'm sure we're gonna meet up some other time as well. Maybe Australia, or I know you're coming to my part of the world, but I will see if we can link
Yeah.
up sometime soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. Let's continue on with today. We're talking about how to grow your audience quickly, profitably, and build your authority at the same time. So let's dive into some really awesome, tangible advice for people who are at home now, ready to actually start taking action on this. What's sort of the first thing that we should be thinking about when going on this journey of wanting to grow quickly and profitably?
I mean, you need to think kind of what you want to do. Obviously, you can do a summit. There's other ways too. Depends if you have a lot of money to spend on advertising. Maybe you have already marketing experience. If you don't, you kind of need to look at what's out there. And that's kind of what I looked at myself. First of all, you need obviously a niche. You need to narrow down your focus. You need to think, okay, do you want to be an expert on something? If that's the case, you need to narrow down. Otherwise, you can consider partnering with someone and you are kind of a little bit more behind the scenes, and you can partner with them. Actually, some people in my program and my world, they have actually partnered with others while being behind the scenes. Maybe you don't want to be the face. Maybe you don't want to do the interviews. Maybe then you hire someone to do it. You can also build a media company like this. There's so many ways to do it. I'm not gonna sit here and say there's only one way. I mean, maybe you don't want a personal brand, but if that's the case and you actually want to get out there and you want to get your brand out there, obviously you need to be known for something. And then I believe you should, you should make that list of the influencers you want to connect with, and then consider hosting a virtual summit, because it's one of the fastest, if not the fastest way to grow quickly, to build that audience, to build that email list, to become the go-to expert in the industry. And then you can do so much with this content. It's not just, okay, this one-time event. You can get even sponsors for a summit. You can then repurpose that content for social media, like YouTube, like a podcast. You know, I have students who did 2 summits and then they actually repurpose into a podcast, generating hundreds of thousands of dollars from just kind of doing that. Like one summit turned into the podcast. They didn't do any extra work. So I don't know if hopefully I've sold this enough. It's like too many benefits not to do it. At least every business should do at least one, I think, if that's something you want to do. Yes, there's work, but anything else will be work as well. That's kind of sometimes an objections I get when people come to me and they ask, okay, but there's so much work doing this. Yes, it might take you 90 days to do a very good summit, but then you have these kind of, we give students templates and stuff, but even if you didn't have them, maybe you spend a little bit longer. Well, then you're gonna have this and you can like repeat this. You can evergreen your summit. You can do so many things to continue to grow from that first experience. And that's a great way for your audience to get introduced, because you're getting basically promoted by some influencers to their email list. So that's kind of the best introduction you can get by someone they know, like, and trust. And that's how they come into your world and experience your brand as well in a very good way.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I guess one of the best ways to build any type of business are the connections and the relationships that you make along the way. Like like you're saying, you've promoted a lot of affiliate offers over the last few years, and that's been really great for you at not just creating some income, but also creating better relationships with those people as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, affiliate marketing has been great. Initially, it was more to promote kind of courses and stuff like that. That was kind of relevant to my audience. That's how I did right after my first summit. So I looked at, because I didn't have a program yet, right? So after my first, so you don't need even a product. You mean your summit becomes your first product, which is really cool. So you do your summit, and then you grow your list, you generate some revenue. You might even get your audience asking you to create something. That was the case for me. I wanted case studies before I launched it to the public. That's kind of how Virtual Summit Mastery was born, late 2014, but that was kind of a very early stage. I didn't even have anything created. So that's why I decided to promote an affiliate offer right after. I didn't really think much more than that is going to be a good fit to my audience. And that's kind of how I started this journey with affiliate marketing, generating a lot of money over the years doing that. But now I'm also thinking about not just kind of promoting courses, but also like you can use summits to promote software, for example, or any other relevant products in your industry, whatever that is, right? If it's the fitness industry, maybe that can be supplements or something that would be relevant for your audience. That's kind of how I'm thinking about it. Also generating some, there's not really real passive income because you have to always put in the work up front. But I think, affiliate marketing it's quite low maintenance. You might have to update a blog post. You might have to, do something with your videos, because I publish videos for some stuff and I constantly generate leads. Even if I don't promote the program, I get like a 5-figure payday when they do a launch, or for software getting thousands of dollars every single month. And that covers more than all my expenses every month. So it's been a pretty cool thing, and anyone can do this, but you need kind of an audience usually to build up to that, because it's going to be a lot easier to recommend stuff to when you have some people on your email list.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree. That's really cool. So I guess going back, let's say that we are, thinking about building a summit and those types of things. One of the things that I think you're probably the best in the world at, especially for summits, is creating an offer that's compelling and that fits the audience and that people are going to buy. So this fits in, really well with making sure that it's profitable, because there are people who skip this process and don't put enough thought into it, and all of the work doesn't become profitable. So what are you thinking about when creating a really compelling offer? Do you have a bit of a framework or some guidelines that you can share with us?
Yeah, it's so important. And a lot of people make this mistake because, obviously you need to have a good, your niche going to be good, your summit topic, all this going to be, good. Because I know you have maybe you can share a little bit about that afterwards, but like you made a few mistakes early on with some summits where it's like maybe you didn't nail the topic, and then maybe even the offer as well. But like the topic is important. Then it comes to offer. So you need to make sure it's like see it not just as a summit pass, see it something more. Even if you can even think about it a little bit as a course. How would you actually do this? How would you bundle it with some compelling bonuses? And not just any bonuses, but bonuses that matter for people maybe to take that next step. And that can be session notes, can be other things. I know you have bundled some great things with kind of this summit here, Mitch. So that's kind of some stuff you can do as well. So you not just the recordings, you can also do something that I've seen other people like Russell Brunson is doing for ClickFunnels. You can actually make the summit recordings the bonuses, which is really cool. So you actually make, let's say, a challenge or something that designed for people to take action. I think that's a really cool way if you have the time to design that experience, right? So I think that's a really high converting offer as well. So you can have, a challenge to go through, but then at the same time, you're getting some other things. Can even be like, it can even be a box or something that you ship to people, right? It can be something physical as well. That's a little more advanced, But that's something I've seen also some people do that can make the offer even stronger if you have the time to do that. Otherwise, you just have the standard kind of bonuses with session notes, can be even transcripts occasionally if it's if it's something that you have time for. I don't recommend doing transcripts for beginners because it's gonna cost you money, and then most people actually don't read the transcripts, or not even require. They don't ask for the transcript. It's more for you, so you can actually go in there and then for example, repurpose it for social media and stuff like that. That's kind of what I use the transcripts for captions for some videos. So, but there's tools for that, like Temi, for example, I think it's called. It's a good resource. Might be not the best. It's like rev.com is the best one, but it costs $1 per audio minute. So it gets expensive very quickly. Whereas like Temi, you can, get it for at least captions and tweak it a little bit, and then it's going to be good enough for that purpose. So I think that's kind of important. Also, then it's like the journey, customer journey is important as well, how people go through the summit. So if you have the all access pass or the premium pass, well, that needs to be a good offer. Then you need a bump offer, or at least that's quite important if you want to increase the order value, and then consider a one-click upsell. That's usually when you get a little more advanced, or if you have already some experience with this, then you can consider it. And then a back-end offer, right? Or some kind of higher end offer. That's kind of the perfect customer journey. Most people will not have that from day one. And if you're sitting here, you're a beginner, don't feel overwhelmed. I had nothing of this when I started. I just designed a very good all access pass offer. And I think everyone these days with tools like Thrivecart, you can have a bump offer in a very easy way. That could be session notes. That could be a swipe bolt. That could be something that is like very compelling. And that can be like a $19 to $47 price point, but it has obviously a higher value. I think that's a good bump offer that you just add on the cart and you increase the order value. You're gonna get if it's a good bump offer, I think between a 30 to 60% take rate is amazing. I got for a recent summit about 50% take rate, which is mind blowing. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, awesome. What about conversion rates on the actual all access pass itself, and then also the upsell? What are you typically seeing there?
I think for all access pass, I mean, in the early days, we saw a lot lower. I think it can be increased. Depends the niche, depends the topic, depends how exhausted the market is for summits in general. But I think you can get up in even the marketing space is one of the most competitive. You can get between, let's say 6 to 10%. We got actually a lot higher for a recent one with List Building School 2.0 I hosted. Some affiliates got up to 24%, which is crazy. But I would say in average for that one was about 12 to 15%, something like this for across the board. And, can vary a little bit depending on who's mailing, stuff like that. Obviously, my email list converted the best because I have the most trust with my audience, but then some affiliates did extremely well. I think you should be quite happy if you get even between 4 to 10%. That's kind of a good one. I have students getting between 21 to 30% in some niches, like virtual harp summit, play therapy, stuff like this. I mean, they're not really, there's so many gold mines when it comes to summits. Like I was just speaking to someone at a conference. I was speaking at a summit conference, actually, Summit Fest Live. And I was having a conversation with someone. I was like, I really like sneakers. I mean, I was like in the sneaker culture when I was like growing up a little bit and stuff like this, and kind of bought some limited sneakers. And I was like, this is insane, because why has no one has thought of this? Like, this is like I don't know, like $1 billion industry, right? The sneakers and stuff must be massive. And people can do a sneaker summit, right? I mean, it would be crushing it. I might even do it myself, but it would crush. Like same with like surfing or snowboarding and stuff. But why haven't anyone thought of this? Because there's offline gatherings happening. There's big communities around this. That's kind of what I would look at when I go into a new market. I mean, you can just create media properties essentially, or authority websites that start with a virtual summit. That's something I'm kind of thinking now, what I want to do beyond, kind of maybe something that's not attached to my name as much, maybe something designed to sell. That could be like these other websites, or that can start with a summit. You might partner with an influencer that you might find on YouTube. You might hire that person. However you find them, like it can be like a really, really powerful way to reach new markets. And you don't even have to be the face of that company. You can just be the kind of owner and, have put the team together. That's kind of what I'm thinking a little bit.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. It's so powerful. So this is really amazing, Navid. There's a lot of really gold nuggets in here for people. So Just a quick recap, we're thinking about putting together a summit so that we can connect with influencers. We have a product basically straight away, and we can grow quickly because we do have something to actually sell them rather than if we were just podcasting. And then we're talking about how to create a really compelling offer that that converts really highly. What is there anything else that we need to be thinking about in terms of growing quickly and profitably and also building our authority?
I think it's like doing it for the right reasons is very important. Like you connect with influencers, right? Don't be a kind of a list grabber or trying to just do it for the email list. Like if you're new, I mean, you know this better than most people, Mitch, because you started out, you were in a very competitive industry in the health niche. And it's like very difficult to just go into the health industry or like marketing space in the health niche, one of the hardest niches to break into, I would say, like in terms of summits or anything in general. It's profitable, but that doesn't mean you're just gonna go in there and they have worked years for this. You're not just gonna ask them, hey, mail for me. You have to like, make sure your summit is really great first and foremost. Make sure you hit the topic, make sure you have a good offer. Eventually people will pay attention. Of course, you're gonna try to get the best mix of influencers you can, but that doesn't mean everyone can promote because it's noisy in these industries, it's competitive. That's why I think in certain industries that I mentioned before, it can be very powerful because they're not used to this, right? So if you are in such an industry, great. If you are in the marketing space or the health niche, fine, you can still do well, but it might take a little bit longer for you to just hit that home run. Because for you, Mitch, took 3 summits, I think, in the health niche, which still is great because then you built a 6-figure business in that and then even sold that. So imagine you would have given up. And same with me. I mean, it took me some time to put this together I had like a lot of speakers from my first summit as well. So not everyone promoted for me. And so it's kind of a little bit more difficult. And now it gets easier over time. When I've done a few summits, I've helped a lot of people and built relationships, but even then I have to get on a phone with people. I have to connect with them, communicate with them, and like tell them, okay, what's in it for them to be part of my experience? Because summit is an experience. You have to make it an experience for the people being part of it. And then they might even promote you further after the summit is over, because the summit, let's face it, is a low priced product. So the more you can have in that customer journey and make it more compelling for people, maybe they can make money off your back end. Obviously, when you're starting out, you don't have products maybe. So you have to just kind of, you just have to have the best experience you can. And then you can actually add on to that. Maybe you have a premium course or something, and then you can give them 40, 50% on that. So it takes a little bit time to build up to this, but everyone starts from zero. And we just build up to this. We build a relationship over time. Have your dream 100. Start kind of building real relationships. Don't do it just for that because you want them to promote you. Do it without expecting anything in return. And then you're going to set yourself up for success long term.
Absolutely. I know the truth in that. That's exactly like what you're saying. That's how we build that health business, and you've got to put in the work up front. But eventually, like as you were saying as well, once you start to see a little bit of momentum, that starts to grow exponentially on itself, and the sky is the limit after there, but you've got to put in the work up front. So yeah, that's really cool. Navid, is there anything else that you want to talk about on this particular topic? There's a few more questions that I do have coming up.
No. I mean, I think that kind of summarizes it a little bit. Like, I think we covered like the niche is really important. The topic, you definitely don't want to mess up on that. Obviously, the speakers you get on a summit is very important as well, that you have a good balance. Let's say you're starting out. You don't want to only go for A-listers, because that's kind of it can be good if you're going to target their fan pages and stuff and Facebook ads and stuff, but it's more difficult because you're not going to get all of them to promote. Maybe have a few A-listers, but have more of the trusted authorities and up-and-comers that you are kind of be closer to. It's going to be easier for you to maybe communicate with them and also get them to share the summit with their email list, because let's face it, if you're starting out, you don't have a big marketing budget. Well, you need some people to spread the word with their list. And that's kind of how you do it. You need to have a good balance and also make sure there's something in it for them. So you can mention, I'm going to repurpose this summit. I'm going to do other things. I'm going to promote you ongoing, even if you don't have a list. Even if you can even get sponsors for a summit when you're starting out, if you know how to put it. Like, not that the money going into your pocket, but you're going to actually use that money to promote the summit, to get the word out there for the sponsor. You're going to market them. So it's just a matter of how you put yourself out there. A lot of people make mistakes there where they just see this as, okay, I'm going to put as much money as possible in my pocket and I don't care about anyone else. Well, then you're going to get that as well. No one else is going to care about you. So I think that's very important.
Yeah, absolutely. Really powerful. So I guess we've probably touched on some of these already, but what would you say is the number one mistake people make when approaching this type of digital business?
Uh, honestly, you need a good niche. First of all, you need a good topic. We have talked about this. Narrow down your niche pretty much until it hurts. There's some exceptions where it hasn't been done too much in your industry, but I think a lot of industries, you're gonna position yourself as an expert a lot quicker. And also, like with the influencers, like really put yourself in their situation a little bit, like not just kind of being someone. I know you want to grow your list, that's kind of your goals, you want to grow your list, generate revenue, but what do they want? Like think about that. Even when you're reaching out to sponsors, think about what do they want. Well, how can you help them? If you think like that, you're gonna be like so much further ahead than 99% of people doing this. Because I get these slimy emails a lot, like, you know, you need 5,000 email subscribers on your list and all this. Don't do this. That's kind of how you're gonna look creepy. And actually, there's some coaches out there that have very successful businesses. I'm not gonna mention any names here, but they have extreme, like 8-figure business pretty much, or multi 7 figures, and they are sitting there. They have not done a summit for maybe 10 years, and they're sitting there and coaching people, or they have like business programs coaching people around this, and they have these templates. That's where it's from. That's why they have so much volume for people going through this, and that's where you get all these emails. You need 5,000 email subscribers. That's a list grabber. That's a complete person who's going to look like a moron. That's what kind of people are going to post on social media, that this is a crappy email outreach and stuff like that. You don't want to look like that. You're going to ruin your brand pretty much. That's one of the biggest mistakes. But hopefully if you listen to this, or maybe if you've been through my program or read anything I do or what Mitch put out there, then you're not going to do this. So we're going to save you from this mistake.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree. It's probably my biggest pet peeve in this industry. And moving forward, I'm actually going to be replying to those with a very honest opinion about their reach out. And it's probably going to end up on social media.
Yeah, you should teach them. I mean, it's kind of funny. I see it as a funny thing these days. Like I do get a bit less of them, but I do get them sometimes. People are also, I think, like when you're writing a wall of text as well in the first email, like get to the point. Like, you know, if you have not been in touch with, if you have been in touch with them before, it's a lot easier if you build that relationship over time. But obviously you might not have time with that, if you're, a little bit stressed on time for the summit and stuff. So you're reaching out, but then make sure you have a compliment. You can even do video invites and stuff like that as well, if you really want to stand out. I think a lot of my students have done that successfully. Sometimes I'm a little bit lazy, so I don't do it, but I have also done this for sometimes. Some people, they recognize my name. If you're new in an industry, video invites can really make a difference. And then obviously making it personalized, so you don't have the same video invite to everyone. It's the same with the email. You need to personalize the emails, not just having merge tags and stuff. I saw someone posting the other day that they got like an email. It was like completely, it's like merge tags everywhere. Like it's really bad. Like Stu McLaren, I think he got that. It was like he posted on social media. So you don't want your emails that you send to an influencer to end up on social media. Do you think they will say yes later in the future? Probably not. They're not going to reply to you anymore. So don't do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Really powerful. That's really cool. So, Navid, just one more question before we do wrap up. And that is, do you have any final words of inspiration for people in general in terms of doing a summit, or maybe just getting started and living that digital nomadic life in general?
I think in the beginning, it's like you might be stuck in a 9-to-5 job or something like this. So then your goal usually is to quit that job. So it's like you're thinking a lot about, okay, what do I want there? So that's kind of set different mini goals or whatever, like steps along the way. I think it gets harder if you have this massive goal. Maybe I want to build a 7-figure business. It's great to have that in the future, but first you need to set these it's kind of baby steps. That's kind of how I did it. I wanted to quit my job. I wanted then to, and then I decided to move abroad. Then I built this multiple 6-figure business. Then I did well with certain things. So I think know what you want and then go after it. And when it comes to summits, you might fail with the first summit. You might not do as well, but it's only a failure forever if you give up. And that's you're the best example. I always use you, Mitch, as the example, because you could have given up after the first one. I think you got, I don't know, 700 dollars or 1,000. I don't know. There was not something like this, right? You could have given up easily. And a lot of people have done it with limited success for a first one, but it's the people who stick with it over time. They do well. That doesn't matter if it's summits, it's anything in life. If you stick with it, there's no failure. You're actually going to succeed, because it's kind of, unless you make the same mistake over and over, but most people, and especially if you're watching this, you're probably smart, so you're not going to make the same mistake, and you're going to keep evolving, and then you're going to eventually find that success, kind of your blue ocean, if you will. So you're going to actually find something that works for you and build a successful business. And if you want to travel the world, like I've done over the years, Mitch has, traveled and lived in different places, then you can do that. But you can also, maybe you have a family and you want to stay, you want to have your home base. That's also possible, but you can take mini vacations and go around. You can go to, Mexico, you can go to South America, you can go to Europe, you can do whatever you want, and then go back for a few months and then travel again, because this flexibility in the lifestyle, that's what it allows. And that's kind of how I'm living my life these days. I travel a lot. I don't have a family and stuff, at least at this point. So I can do that, but still I like to have a base. And if that's you, you can live a similar life, or you can travel nonstop. Just know that it's harder to grow the business when you're traveling constantly. That's kind of what I found out. It was a little bit stressful to do that, but you just know your goals and you're going to do well. That's my piece of advice here.
Yeah, it's super inspirational. I love that. That's really cool, Navid. Thanks so much for taking the time today to share some amazing wisdom with everybody. I'm sure they're convinced on summits. If they're not, we will convince them all one day. One of us will, at least. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people want to continue the conversation with you. Whereabouts can they go to do that?
I think my website, just navidmoazzez.com. I have some great resources. Check out my blog. I do, have guides on virtual summits there. I also have a lot of reviews and different things we're doing. Also, I'm going to kickstart my YouTube channel. So there's a lot of stuff. Also, jump on my email list if you want to, get to know me better, what I do and stuff like that. That's kind of the best way. And say hi if you see me, or if you want to send me an email or anything like that, connect with me. I'm very approachable. So just reach out.
Yeah, absolutely. So I definitely recommend everyone go check that out. Also, Navid has a really great article on becoming a digital nomad as well. So if you're in your early stages, go check that out. I
forgot about that one. Yeah, that's a good one, actually. I should just add that Panama City is a great place. I did some research after that. I don't know why I didn't put it in that article, because I've known Panama City for years. That's why I live now in Panama. But I have some other resources for nomads and stuff, and also how to build a digital nomad business in general. So, and some locations where you might want to get started and stuff like this. So that's a good resource.
Yeah, absolutely. I encourage everyone to go check that out. So Navid, thanks again for joining us here on Digital Nomad Sessions. It was a pleasure. I'm sure we'll chat again soon.
For sure. Thanks for having me.